From the outside, they're ordinary buildings. Although there's no signs in sight, this one is actually licensed as South Carolina Cafe, a banquet hall with a $20 entrance fee and no menu to order from. And tucked in an industrial park of Hyattsville, Club Fuego, licensed as a banquet hall and auditorium. But once the sun sets, these unassuming banquet halls turn into this. Inside Fuego, our Fox 5 crew saw full-on nude dancing and illicit activities. And in South Carolina Cafe, also known as Irving's, out on the streets.
When we were leaving that, I thought it was also interesting. As soon as we were leaving the small area, some man walks up to me in the hallway and immediately knows to come to me and starts asking me if I was looking for a job.
Tina Front is a survivor. Her body once belonged to the many Johns of the night and was sold at places like these for sex.
I really think that word sex trafficking is a confusing word. And when people get it confused because it is a governmental and legal term. So the real terminology is forced prostitution.
Tina often hears the survivor stories of young women who are forced to work in these clubs and sold for sex. It's become such a problem in Prince George's County that in 2013, the county formed a human trafficking task force.
Okay, because we went in there and we saw basically prostitution happening out in the open, and there were dozens of people in these establishments.
But those particular places, we didn't look at them for human trafficking. So that's a different situation.
Karen Tolles is a Prince George's councilwoman. She introduced legislation to establish the task force and is its vice chair. Tolles says her task force has focused on motels and massage parlors. Our Fox 5 investigative team went inside Irving's and Club Fuego along with a team from Courtney's house. We witnessed countless illegal activities, including fully nude dancers, women who appeared to be underage and working in the back rooms of the establishments. One of them we found naked and passed out, surrounded by men. Another woman we spoke with told us she had just moved to Maryland from Mexico 2 days before and was already working inside. And despite there being a county loophole allowing late-night clubs to have partially nude dancers if alcohol isn't served, we were able to purchase hard liquor from Irving's.
You know, I'm going to go on record to say that as far as I know and the information I have received, I do not know that those things are occurring within those establishments.
There isn't a council person that doesn't know about this place.
Camelia Stiles has lived in this unincorporated part of Prince George's County for decades. Her house just a few doors down from Irving's.
We would come out early in the morning and we would see condoms all up and down the block. You could come out early in the morning and actually find activities going on in a car.
Activities such as sex?
Sex, yes.
For years, it has been Stiles' duty to rally up her neighbors and petition the county to shut this place down.
I have personally called Karen Tolles' office and asked if they would be at the hearings in retrospect to Irving's. They said that they were aware and that they were looking into seeing what they could do. Whether or not she knows that there's a problem, she can check the records, she can check the police records.
Tina says the police records and the survivors tell the real story. After she escaped the life, she founded Courtney's House, an organization that offers a way out of exploitation. She scours places like these, searching for minors, many of whom have gone missing and later tell of being forced into prostitution.
One of the things I noticed inside of being in Fuego's, I was grabbed a lot, so people pulled me to a side and grabbed me and asked me if I wanted to party, if I needed, if there was somewhere we can go. They asked me if they can give me money for things and suggesting that they follow you. They go on the back and give you money to have sex there.
In the last year, police have responded 63 times to Club Fuego and 24 to Irving's. Irving's has also been the scene of 4 different homicide investigations, the most recent in 2012. One of the dancers shot and killed. We repeatedly asked Ms. Karen Tolles for answers as to why places like these continue to operate despite their constant violations of the law and their underground operations.
Yeah, I cannot speak to that because I do not know what what was going on in there. Again, we dealt with the human trafficking aspect of it.
We attempted to speak with the manager at Club Fuego, but before we could get to the door, a man standing by shut it. We knocked and knocked and were ignored.
Hi, this is Marina Marraco with Fox 5. How are you?
At Irving's, despite our multiple phone calls to its owner and attempts at a response, our questions went unanswered. But we continued to press Councilwoman Tolles and her task force.
Let me stop you and say, I don't know if they were doing sex trafficking because as far as I know, those particular establishments that you named, they were not under what the emphasis in some of the policies that we did. And as I told you, that's different than what we study with the task force. Shut the club down. Shut the club down. We gon' shut this club down. We gon' shut the club down. Shut the club down. Shut the club down. We gon' shut this club down. We gon' shut this club down.
A Fox 5 investigation continues to look for answers. Last month, we took you inside strip clubs where survivors of sex trafficking say they were forced to perform illegal activities. For many of our viewers, it was shocking that it was happening almost literally in their own backyards. Equally as shocking for them and our investigative team, the slow response from the county. Fox 5's Marina Marraco joins us now with our follow-up.
And Tony, since our story first aired, we continue to ask for answers from elected officials as to why the establishments we first showed you were operating under the pretense of banquet halls when in reality they are full-fledged strip clubs. We also asked what the Human Trafficking Task Force is doing to investigate reports of alleged sex trafficking inside these very same places. Not only was the response limited, interviews with key players were shut down. The pictures hanging on the walls at this rescue organization known as Courtney's House tell the story. Young girls and boys forced into a life of prostitution. Their childhood traded for sex and money. The once victims, now survivors, shared stories of how their traffickers would take them into area strip clubs and make them work as dancers and backroom sex slaves.
Most of our survivors, including myself, stripped between the ages of 13 or even 11 and 12 to about 17 at first. But because people think the strip clubs are legit, we're not paying attention. And let's just be honest, when people go to strip clubs, they're not exactly looking for minors. They're not going, let me look at her face and see how young she really is. So actually it's the perfect place to traffic people in because it's a legit place on paper.
Last month, Fox 5 took you inside two of those clubs for an exclusive look into what the survivors had to endure. Unassuming buildings, one in a residential neighborhood, one in an industrial cul-de-sac, both of them in Prince George's County. Irving's and Fuego's are adult entertainment clubs licensed as banquet halls, but clearly, naked women and illicit activities are what's on the menu. We heard from residents living near clubs throughout the county, including this woman who lives down the street from Irving's. She says her neighbors are fed up because the county isn't responding to their calls for help.
We would come out early in the morning and we would see condoms all up and down the block. You could come out early in the morning and actually find activities going on in a car.
Activities such as sex?
Sex, yes.
Stiles says she gets the same answer over and over again with no results.
They said that they were aware and that they were looking into seeing what they could do.
But when we spoke to the vice chair of the county's Human Trafficking Task Force, Karen Tolles, we were unclear if the county was even looking at strip clubs harboring sex traffickers.
I'm going to go on record to say that as far as I know and the information I have received, I do not know that those things are occurring within those establishments. But
after our story aired, we heard from many of our viewers asking the very same questions. How could the county not know about these clubs? Why are these clubs holding banquet and catering licenses? And why can't the county just shut them down? We started by setting up and confirming an interview with the Deputy Director of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement. He handles complaints against these two clubs and clubs like them in the county. His office has the power to shut a club down if necessary. But that interview was canceled by a member of the county executive's office when we were on our way to the interview. We asked to speak with police about complaints and investigations involving these two clubs. Nearly 2 weeks later, that request is still in limbo. And repeated attempts to speak to County Executive Rashawn Baker were denied. His communications staff said there were other people better suited to discuss the issues with us. It wasn't until the 11th hour the chair of the Human Trafficking Task Force agreed to meet with us.
And you're the only one that's been available to speak with us. Is there a particular reason why the county is shutting the doors on us?
Well, I don't know that the county is shutting doors on you. I'm here. I think one of the things that you might recognize is that when it comes to human trafficking, it's such an issue that has many colors to it. It's very complex, and much of what goes on with human trafficking is behind the scenes and underground. A lot of what we're trying to do with the task force is educate the public. We have to educate even government officials. We have to educate law enforcement.
Fox 5's cameras joined concerned members of the community at a district council hearing last week about yet another entertainment club. The county is facing what appears to be an uphill battle. Many of the clubs in question, including Irving's and Fuego's, applied for and were licensed before adult entertainment was defined in the county.
Our zoning ordinance as it relates to adult entertainment is ambiguous and contradictory. And so it puts property owners, particularly property owners who are utilizing their property for adult entertainment, in a very precarious situation.
A situation that may not change until the legal loopholes are closed. Until then, Lyle says his task force is targeting traffickers wherever they are.
What our main focus is to continue to investigate and to continue to do spot checks on these locations. We have to find criminal activity going on in the location in order to shut them down.
Shut the club down. Shut the club down.
Now, Mr. Lyles did say the county in the past has shut down these establishments for other violations. He could not speak about pending investigations because those are currently in litigation. Now, as to the licensing violations of these establishments, although our initial interview with code enforcement was shut down while we were en route, it has now been rescheduled for tomorrow. So we're hoping to get some answers. We're hoping that interview following tonight's report doesn't get canceled yet again. We do want a healthy conversation, but we also want answers.
Yeah, absolutely. You want answers. You can certainly understand the folks who live out there, their frustration right that. Yeah.
And I'm a little surprised. I mean, nothing's easy. You always got to follow the rules and look into this, look into that. But it seems like a slow response to something that clearly has people upset and clearly is wrong. I understand there are two issues. There's the human trafficking issue, and you know we have to find evidence of this. But there's also the licensing issue, as you say. They're supposed to be banquet halls. They're not. They're sex clubs.
Right.
And it's not new. This has been going on for years.
For years, exactly. And I think that's the problem. And I think what neighbors are saying, not only is the response slow, not only are they dragging their feet, but this has been going on for so long now. Why can't we finally find a solution to the problem?
All right. Hopefully somebody's watching from Prince George's County.
We can only hope, Sean.
Who will answer. All right.
We'll stay on top
Thank
of
you,
it. Thank you, Marina.
Last night we told you about Prince George's County officials repeatedly canceling interviews with us following our investigation into county establishments operating as strip clubs when in reality they are licensed as banquet halls. Inside those businesses, what we found were the appearance of girls who were underage, naked women in back rooms, and other illicit activities. Fox 5's Marina Marraco went back out to Prince George's County today in search of answers.
Today, our crew had a confirmed interview with the Licensing and Permitting Division in Prince George's County. It was an interview that had already been canceled once. After our follow-up last night, our second interview attempt scheduled for this morning was canceled yet again. So before we left the county, we went straight to the top, demanding answers. Last month, Fox 5 took you inside two clubs for an exclusive look into what sex trafficking survivors say they've endured. We went into Irving's and Club Fuego's, both clubs in Prince George's County, both licensed as banquet halls, both operating as full-fledged strip clubs.
But because people think the strip clubs are legit, we're not paying attention. And let's just be honest, when people go to strip clubs, they're not exactly looking for minors. They're not going, let me look at her face and see how young she really is. So actually it's the perfect place to traffic people in because it's a legit place on paper.
And just a few weeks ago, we joined concerned residents at a district council hearing. The county's uphill battle to properly define adult entertainment was evident, especially when it comes to clubs like Irving's and Fuego's, whose owners applied for and were licensed to operate before adult entertainment was ever defined in the county. On 2 separate occasions, Fox 5 requested an interview with Prince George's County Inspections and Enforcement Deputy Director Gary Cunningham. While we were en route for that first interview, it was canceled. Today, while already at the DPI building, a staff person from Mr. Cunningham's office came down to the lobby and pulled the plug yet again on our interview. This time they referred us to County Executive Rashern Baker's office. At the County Administration building, we questioned a communications staff member. And in the midst of our interview, will Fox 5 be able to sit down with Mr. Baker?
I don't know, probably so, but
I mean, is that a yes or a no? I mean, is that office? Hello, Mr. Baker, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm so glad that you're here. We were looking for you.
I saw your piece, and in fact, what I've asked Barry to do is to put together a press conference to deal with all the issues there. So we look forward to talking to you about the issues.
Mr. Baker has agreed to sit down with Fox 5 following a press conference next week. The county says they'll hold to finally answer questions their constituents have for years been asking.
To see what exactly was going on, how long has this been going on, and what exactly, why these businesses are still open. But the only way to get to that is to have every agency involved in it be able to answer those questions.
And we can only hope questions will be answered and solutions provided. In the meantime, Mr. Baker asked his constituents to dial 311 if they have any concern they'd like addressed by the county. In the newsroom, Marina, Marraco, Fox 5 Local News.
Now, despite not answering our questions today, we learned Prince George's County officials, as you heard, will be holding that press conference in response to our story tomorrow morning at 10:30. And of course, we'll have more for you tomorrow on Fox 5 News beginning at 5 and at 6.
A Fox 5 investigation takes us to Prince George's County, where sex trafficking has gotten the attention of local officials. This month, we told you about 2 banquet halls doubling as strip clubs. Inside those clubs, we found what appeared to be underage girls and other illicit activities. Fox 5's Marina Marraco continued to search for answers and joins us now with what she found out. Marina.
And Tony, following our conversation Thursday with Prince George's County Executive Rashern Baker and our repeated requests for interviews with officials, the county held a press conference to address issues brought up in our investigation. And although Mr. Baker was a no-show, his staff laid out what the county response has been and then answered some of our questions. For the first time since we first brought you our Fox 5 investigation, representatives from several agencies in Prince George's County addressed issues uncovered in our story.
It's the alleged illegal activities in certain county banquet halls in the county.
And although the county refers to these as alleged activities, they say,
we have been dealing with this issue for years. Dealing with violations in dance hall clubs is not new to this administration.
A problem we first brought you back in 1999. Prince George's police then already responding to these, quote, alleged allegations.
We're going to be methodical.
Fast forward 16 years, and we're still asking the same questions.
So it takes a shooting or a homicide to shut down one of these establishments?
That's not what I said. What I said was
I'm asking you.
No, it does not. It has to be a safety concern.
Our Fox 5 investigative team went inside Irving's and Club Fuego in Prince George's County. Both clubs licensed as banquet halls, both operating as full-fledged strip clubs. We witnessed countless illegal activities, including fully nude dancers, women who appeared to be working and underage, and a woman in one of the back rooms of an establishment passed out and surrounded by men. At the meeting, we saw Daniel Irving, owner of Irving's.
I don't have anything to say when it comes to sex trafficking because, that's not a part of any issues that I can constantly think that would actually go on in any other strip club.
What about the licensing issue? You're licensed as a banquet hall.
How long have I been open? How long have you said? 11 years?
That's when we first
Then
met.
it's not an issue.
So if the laws change, you apply for a new law and you'll pay the taxes accordingly?
Of course, if the laws change, I'm not going to do it. As a matter of fact, if that was the case, we wouldn't be doing it.
And Prince George's County Police say they've not made any arrests or had any calls for service for prostitution or human trafficking at the 2 clubs we brought up. Since 2011, the county also says they've shut down 16 adult entertainment clubs for numerous violations and promised their constituents swift action in the coming weeks. Tony?
All right, Marina Marraco reporting. Thank you, Marina.